G'day, ZiggyD here, and races are starting up again in Path of Exile. So that means I'm doing some hardcore race practice for the 1 hour race I'm preparing for in this particular session. Thought it might be nice to have you guys along to give you guys a bit of a walkthrough, some tips, and a bit of a guide to how I approach the 1 hour race. Now, I'm by no means a high level racer. I have fairly limited race experience, but I do have a fairly good idea of a lot of the theory of it and a lot of the practice and how to go through it from watching a lot of races and playing and practicing a little bit myself in closed beta. So hopefully I can impart a little bit of knowledge upon you guys who may be newer to racing. So the most important thing before you start is to have a build planned out. Now you only need a build up to around level 20 for the hardcore race. Now I've planned out a ranger build for this, and that includes the skills that I'll be using, which I can get from quest rewards, which is essential. But I'll link to the build that I'm using in this particular playthrough, my hardcore 1 hour race ranger build, in the description below and maybe in an annotation if I remember. But basically, once you've planned that out, half an hour before the race usually is when you can start signing up for the race. So you'll go to select league here, and there'll be another option for the race that is about to happen basically. So you select that. I'm just going to have to select hardcore for this obviously, and then you can enter the game. Alright, so I'm in, and now assuming you've rocked up early for the race, which you should have, you'll be in the game now like this, but you won't be able to move anywhere. I can move if I click someone, since this is an actual race with no race limitations, but if you're in the actual race waiting for the race to begin, you won't be able to move or your character won't be able to stand up. So there's a bit of a trick you can do to make your character stand up and to save a couple seconds right at the start of the race. You're not really doing anything else in that half an hour lead up to the race beginning, so you might as well. So basically what you're going to do is log out and then log back into that same character and you'll be standing up. Alright, and I'm back in, and you notice I haven't moved anywhere, I haven't clicked on anything, yet my character's standing up, so that saves a few seconds. So there'll be a countdown, and once the race starts you can jump straight ahead, pick up your bow, talk to the dying exile, skip that, try not to press escape like I do, and then kill off the exile, and you're going to want to grab your skills straight away. And now while you're moving, try and put that in there. Now for the first beach section here, you really don't want to kill any mobs, you just want to skip over this entire thing. The other thing I will do in this area is grab any chests if they're not too far off, so that chest's a little bit of a diversion, but we'll go ahead and grab that. Looks like I got a little bit of, not too bad. 200 is pretty average latency for me, so skipping over this entire beach, just grabbing chests and to get a little bit of gear on the way. If you maybe you'll get lucky and get some currency drops and things like that. But yeah, not killing anything now, just running straight to not Brutus, Hillock. Hillock is who we're going to be killing straight away. So the key to killing Hillock quickly is just to keep your mana basically going the entire time. So you want to try and min-max your mana potions there, and you can do the same thing with your health potions. You can actually hurt him when he pulls his sword out like that, so it's actually a pretty good idea to stop that there. So pretty much all the characters can out-heal Hillock like this. Sometimes the witch might have to pull back a little bit, just depends on how lucky you get. So basically I'm just going to pick up everything here and head straight into town. So in the terms of these NPCs here, you only really need to talk to Nessa and the blacksmith here. So I got really lucky and managed to get a rare crude bow. I'm just going to sell that twig thing for now. And very quickly, the thing I like to spend my first three scrolls, is just getting the highest coral ring I can. So there's a 27 life coral ring here. I'm just going to go ahead and grab that straight away, and we'll just go talk to Tarkly. I'm not even. Yeah, we talked to Darkly for our skill gem, of course. I was wondering if we needed to talk to him for anything particular. So I've got a pretty nice bow there, so I'm just going to run straight into the terraces and then equip my bow once I get in there. You really don't want to spend too much time in the town if you can avoid it. Just get that coral ring, get your skill gem, and basically head on straight out of there. Alright, so in the terraces we're going to be rushing straight through. We're pretty much not going to be killing anything except for the very largest packs, so I'm going to go ahead and equip split arrow there just in preparation for that. Try and grab chests on the way if you can, but I don't really want to die to do so. So I'm just going to have to set up my skills while I'm running here. Now there's a decently sized pack here, so I'm just going to try and kill off some of those, get a few kills. The objective is to only level once in here, really. You don't really want to be too thorough in here because you're just going to waste a lot of time otherwise. So definitely want to avoid the Fire Fury there, she's pretty nasty. Now I want to equip this new bow. That should make a fairly large difference. I haven't really had a chance to look at what stats are on that yet, but it looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and get a few kills in here. I'll grab that chest. Nothing really worth taking time to pick up in there. So we're not too far off level 2. We'll just finish killing off in here and get to level 2. A couple of these zombies should do the trick there. And there we go. So from there we're pretty much just going to head straight into the Mudflats. Alright, so in the terraces we're just going to be making sure we grab this waypoint because we're going to be coming back here later. And then we're going to go straight across to one of these river sections here, just being very careful of rolls because they are very dangerous. I'm going to grab this chest. No good gear yet, but we did get pretty lucky with those initial couple drops. So you can kill off a few rowers in here, but mostly just try and be very safe. So just going to be trying to avoid the majority of their charges. They're particularly nasty for me because I have a fairly high latency. From the looks of how quickly I'm killing these things, it looks like that bow I picked up has a lot of damage. So I'm just going to level Burning Arrow, and I better put that back on my main skill there. Just grab that chest. Oh, I can probably afford to grab that sash. 5% extra damage isn't going to hurt. So following the creek, river, a little trickle of water here between each one, and it looks like we've followed the wrong one because we've come up to there. Now in the 1 hour races there are 2-point rewards for clearing the fetid pool, but that's not going to be something I'm going to be focusing on. I'm just going to be focusing on the basics of leveling a character as highly leveled as you can. So avoiding all those rowers, you kind of just have to try and curve around them so that they don't hit you with their charges like that. I'm just going to kill off the groups in here, and I might try and level once more in here. I think that might be a good idea. But it's not a huge priority because we can level pretty safely in the next zone there. So I've gotten pretty bad pathing through here. There we go, and there's the final rower nest. So we'll grab that egg there. Just try and kill these rowers so they don't kill us. And we'll grab the glyph from there. And then we're just going to head straight over to the right to go put those glyphs in the glyph wall. So I got about half a level in here. I'm not really going to bother trying to get the rest of the level in there. I'll just do that on the squids in this lower submerged passage here. So basically, I can go back and get Poison Arrow now that I've done that glyph wall. However, I'm going to try and see if I can find the waypoint in this zone easily. If I can't find it, then no big deal. I can push straight to the ledge and then get the waypoint from there into town. But if I do happen to come across the waypoint in this particular area, then I'll use that waypoint to go back to town and grab Poison Arrow, because Poison Arrow is a great skill to start leveling with, so we want to get that as soon as we can. Just try not to get surrounded in this zone. Kill off some of the bigger packs of squid if you can. Split Arrow is not great for clearing those, so you really don't want to get caught like that, so that's pretty dangerous there. An essential change that I'm going to have to make in a second actually is to bind Force Move to my left click there. So I'm just going to go ahead and put Fire Arrow on there. I'm kind of wasting a lot of time just in here because this stupid crab's getting in the way. I'm going to have to try and... It looks like it's dead end anyway, so pay attention to your minimap. Pay attention to your minimap. Alright, so that's not where we want to go, obviously. Now, I wasted a little bit of time in there, but that's okay. We're just doing this for practice, and that's why we practice these things. Alright, so it looks like I've come to the Flooded Depths. Now, there is a mission in the Flooded Depths you can do to get some extra points, and you also get a passive skill point. Some people like to do that quest. I'm going to skip over that one for the purposes of just speed leveling on this. But if you want to start accruing some things by trying to, push for firsts of the Flooded Depths, then that's something you can do for a bit of fun. So, since I found the waypoint, I'm just going to go back and grab Poison Arrow real quick. I think that'll help with clearing out through in here. Alright, so once you've found that Flooded Depths though, if you happen to come across that first, you can basically head in the opposite direction from that, to the opposite corner of this particular zone, and that'll take you to where you need to go. So let's not go across there though. Alright, and here we have the upper submerged passage. Alright, so in here I'm just going to be pushing straight for the exit. I've got a little tiny bit of experience to get one more level, so I'm just going to kill off one little pack that I come across. Now, trying not to get surrounded in there. There's a little bit of a dangerous spot. We just really want to keep an eye out, not get too close to those waves from those Merveil's daughters there. So I'll just grab this chest on the way. Nope, missed it. Having real issues trying to open those chests at the moment. So we'll head straight through to the other zone, and if we've got a save point, we'll grab our extra skill point. So there we go. Doing that level there as we're running, trying to min-max on the speed. Alright, and there's the exit to the ledge. So we're going to be pushing straight to the waypoint on the ledge. Alright, so we're back on the ledge now. Pushing straight to the waypoint, we're going to take the waypoint to the Mudflats and go do Tidal Island. You may have been freaking out, we haven't done Tidal Island yet. But that's the plan now. Mostly we're just rushing through this early section to get this waypoint so we can come back and farm here once we've got our Quicksilver and everything like that from the Tidal Island zone. Kill off any big packs of skeletons. Don't bother with single target skeletons like that, like those ones that I skipped over there. Just go for the real big ones there. With Poison Arrow, looks like I've got a ton of damage from this bow. That was a really good find. Increased damage, increased attack speed, physical damage. That was a really nice find. So these are the big packs you sort of want to kill off there. Just make sure that they're in the poison clouds and they'll die off pretty quick. So you can sort of trust your poison clouds, as you saw from my experience jumping around there, to kill them off. These guys here are chaos resistant, but it's not a big deal. You can sort of just combine your chaos with your split arrow to to do that, or whatever other AoE you've got going. So I'm going to try and kill off these guys because they are. I'm going to put a chest plate on now just for a bit of extra protection. Because they're magic mobs, they're going to give a lot more experience, so I'll try and kill them off. I'm just going to level up my skills here. All these skills are fine to level up, and we'll go back to the Mudflats now. Alright, and from the Mudflats, just go straight out the exit here to the Terraces. Okay, don't bother to kill anything in here, obviously. I'm just going to grab my skill point when I can there. And we'll go straight into the Tidal Island. We're also going to rush through here pretty quickly, just to kill Rake is really our only objective in this zone. Alright, so as you get close to the bottom of the zone, it's a good idea just to kill off the ones that are chasing you, just to make it a little bit safer. I managed to pick up a quiver and some white boots. Maybe if we get a transmutation or something, I can try and craft some move speed boots, because getting some move speed boots is a pretty high priority in these races. It's pretty much your two main priorities are your weapon and your move speed boots. But even for this build, weapon isn't as big a deal, so move speed boots are the main one, and you know, getting whatever defensive weapon pieces you can as well. So we're just going to we're actually in a great spot here because we should be able to hit him without him hitting us. It looks like he's coming around anyway, so we can just start flooding him with some poison arrows there and just try and avoid his ice spears. Oh my god, that was horrible. And just try and start working him down. By this point, you should be about 1 level or over leveled for this zone, or appropriately leveled at least. So killing Rake shouldn't be too hard if you've done it a few times already, if you've experienced enough with dodging with his ice spears and that sort of thing. Alright, it looks like we've got him there. And I was going to grab whatever magic stuff here because we're actually going to be heading back to town anyway. Not going to worry too much about that. Now, logging out here will take you back to town without using any scrolls of town portal, which you might not even have any, which I don't think I do either. So that's a great way to get back to town instantly. Alright, so we're back in town. We're going to want to grab our move speed potion here. Move speed flask even. And I'm getting fire trap from here. So where's fire trap? There's fire trap. Good stuff. Now, you can take a second here to sort out your gear a little bit. You probably have accrued a fair bit from there, so I'm just going to go ahead and... I probably should just sell off whatever we don't need, so I'm just going to sell off all this stuff here. I'm going to keep some stuff that I haven't identified that might be useful for me, so I'll keep those helmets. I'll sell off this, and I'll just sell off these ones here. And that hasn't... since I don't have any identify scrolls and I really need some, I'm going to sell that whetstone there to identify these helmets and see what we get. So they're both pretty rubbish. I'm just going to I can't even equip either of those yet, so I don't want to jig around here too much. Let's sort these out, and then we're going to head straight back to the ledge there to do a little bit of farming up to around level 7 or 8. So for your very first run through the ledge here, you're going to head the opposite direction to the way this point is. Obviously you shouldn't be standing here like this, but since I'm explaining I will. This point will lead the way forwards essentially through the mission, so going back this way will be a safer way to head. You won't come across the totem or anything like that, and you can refresh the zone from the beginning area there. So it's, probably shouldn't really be AoEing down 2 skeletons. So you should also refresh the zone from the waypoint there by control clicking, which I forgot to do, so that's a little bit unfortunate. A little bit of time wasting there, and I've actually got my potions on the wrong ones. There we go. So you just remember to start using your move speed potion as much as you can. You're going to be trying to kill very quickly, so you should be able to refill it as you go along. Alright, so to refresh the instance, you want to control click the door like that and then go to new, and that'll refresh the instance for you in case you didn't already know that technique. Alright, so I managed to pick up an amber amulet and a transmutation orb there, so that's pretty good. I'm probably going to use the transmutation on some boots to try and get some move speed boots. It's like a small chance, but it's something you do really want to try and push for. You're pretty much going to be always crafting or trying to get boots basically until you have those move speed boots up. So let's go ahead and use these on that and see what we get. Now with poison arrow you can basically just keep moving and just keep the mobs in the poison arrow and you're pretty good there. We've just got a little bit of increased energy shield, really not going to help us at all. But as you can see, we just keep moving with poison arrow, and just as things follow us, they just follow us into the poison arrow cloud there. And make sure you kill off any elites like rares or magic packs of mobs like this, since they give a lot of extra experience and can really help you with finding the gear you need as well. So basically, when you come to Kuduku, the totem, I recommend just completely skipping it. I don't think it's worth the time it takes to kill him at this level. You can potentially get some gear from it, but Yeah, it's dangerous, and especially as a melee character, it's very dangerous, and probably doesn't really have the reward to time spent killing it, basically. So you could spend like a minute or two killing it if you're sort of not quite well geared enough for it. So we're just going to be just AoE downing the mobs around him and then moving on, basically. Alright, so we're level 7, I'm going to head into the rocky climb now. Level 7 or 8 is fine, really. If you feel like you're struggling in terms of gear, you can level to level 8. Otherwise, you can just head straight through on level 7. That only took one pass, by the way, to get to level 7, so one more pass would get you to level 8 nice and easily. So from this point onwards, we're pretty much going to be rushing straight to Brutus. I don't recommend killing anything in here, it's incredibly dangerous. Pretty much all the mobs in here will kill you, so be careful in here. Now, the minimum life that you want for Brutus is 130. As you can see, I have 130. That is the bare minimum. However, I recommend getting more than that if possible. So that means grabbing some like an extra life ring or a life belt if you can. I have a strength amulet I can put on, which will give me a little bit more life. But more importantly, I have some energy shield at the moment, which I even have an energy shield belt I can switch over once I'm a little bit more safe and not getting killed by all of this stuff. So you can basically just run through all of this zone fairly safely as long as your potions your flasks are ready to go. So you can just try not to get stunned by melee there like that. Grab any chests you can safely do so. Missed the scroll. I'm not going to go back for it. So I'm going to try and switch out my rust. There we go. So now I've got essentially 150 effective life. Shield isn't as good since it has to regenerate, but it still gives us a bit of extra buffer from getting one-shot by Brutus, which is the main thing you want to try and avoid. Things you want to be keeping an eye out for as you're progressing is iron rings and blue skill gems, because we really need some cold resist rings a little bit later down the track, and that's probably one of the easiest ways to get it if you can happen to find those ingredients through the vendor recipe. So basically why can't I click this door? Alright, so I had to click the label for some reason. Orb of Augmentation's excellent find. Be very careful of these lightning arrow mobs in here. You can AoE down some skeletons and things like that to level in here a little bit, and I might try and just finish off my level. Basically, if you're close to a level, you can try and finish off a level in here. Usually against skeletons, preferably against ones that aren't near a necromancer that's just going to resummon them. But really, you only need to kill them once to get the experience anyway, and you can just move on. A Chaos Orb, awesome. I don't know if I'm going to get a rare that's going to allow me to roll the Chaos Orb, and Alchemy's sort of better for the race, but Chaos Orbs are always nice. We could find a terrible rare with a good base item that we can use that Chaos Orb on a little later, so that's a good find overall. I managed to pick up another coral ring and a better energy shield belt. There was no life belts that I could take advantage of, but that gives us something. Looks like Chatters is in here. We don't really want to deal with him, but I'm really struggling to find the exit in this particular run, so might have to where on earth? Alright, so we're fairly close to one more level. I'm just going to try and finish off getting that level in the upper prison. Otherwise we're going to be skipping over everything. In terms of life and energy shield, we've now got around 180 life and 20 energy shield, which 210 essential life basically there. So that's going to be very good for Brutus. It should make things a fair bit easier. Alright, so I'm into the Warden's Quarters here. Just going to obviously just move straight through here. We can use our flasks here since they won't really help too much in the fight. A serious problem we've encountered though is we don't have any portal scrolls, which should have been something I probably got in the last trip to town. Again, this is the sort of thing you pick up on when you're practicing mistakes like that. But that means that I have to do the Brutus fight in one go through without needing to go back to town to refill my flasks. So that is a little bit more of a challenge. We're just gonna have to. It means that the fight could take a fair bit longer if I get low on life and have to rely on traps and things like that to kill him off. So there he is up there. Now I'm just going to be using my poison arrow and my fire traps to finish him off. Like a terrible desync on Brutus, so I'll just have to be a bit more careful. Like what is this Brutus teleporting going on? Oh, I almost died then. That's why I want that extra health buffer, because that ground smash can pretty much take you out if you don't have very much life. So I've almost got him down there, but I have run out of health potions, so a little bit nasty. Just gonna have to be very careful trying to avoid his hook there. Just kind of have to do what you can depending on the class you are. Decoy totem's great if you've picked like a duelist or a marauder or something like that. That's a great option to pick up for one of your quest rewards, but I'll probably go over the specific builds that I use for each one in in separate build guides. So this is a little bit nasty because my health's gotten quite low. Alright, there we go. And we're just going to grab pretty much everything that could possibly be good for us. Alright, and then as soon as you've cleared out Brutus and gotten whatever pieces of gear you need from that little loot explosion there, go straight to the Prisoner's Gate, and we're going to take the waypoint back to town and grab the quest reward there. Depending on your build, you might not always need it. I get Hatred, so it's probably worth going. Pretty much most builds will opt for an aura there, so an aura is always nice. It's not essential for this build since added damage doesn't really benefit me too much since I'm using AoE that scales separately from added damage, but it's still something nice to go back and get, and I kind of need to sell off some gear anyway. So once we're back in the Prisoner's Gate, we're going to be entirely skipping through this zone. You just want to head towards whatever edge has the little pathway through the mountains. So we're going to be, it looks like this side here. You can basically tell when you come across this ledge here. So we're going to rush straight through here. This is a fairly dangerous zone. It's kind of like that other earlier zone that we rushed through. Not really worth fighting anything in here, except for maybe like some particular easy perks like that. But I'll try and grab that armor scrap. Staying alive. Alright, we're moving through. And we're going to rush through the next zone as well. We're going to be doing a little bit of farming in the coves, I believe it is. So again, in the ship graveyard, we're pretty much just going to be skipping over everything here. The Fair Graves All Flame mission is something that you can rush for if you're going for those sorts of challenges in your racing. But for the most part, if you just want to level, there's something you can skip. Now I've got an interesting layout here that I'm not too familiar with, but generally you want to head north from the entrance, but looks like it's a bit of a different setup, so I'm going to just have to do a run around the edge and see where the exit is. It's obviously not going to be along this water, so I can sort of skip along here. The rowers are the main thing to be careful of in here, but cold snap little water elemental things can be pretty nasty as well. Alright, and just following the coast has taken us to the exit quite nicely there, so that's pretty good. It looks like it's just straight east from the entrance in this particular map layout. For reference, if you happen to get that layout. Alright, so I might be doing one or two refreshes of this Cove Zone here. It's a pretty safe area to level. Everything in here is physical damage and all the mobs are fairly easy to deal with. Actually, possibly these guys that do fire damage, I can't quite recall, but then none of these mobs are particularly threatening, so you can AoE down the large packs fairly safely. As a ranged character, you kind of have a benefit in here of not having to deal with the tar that these fetid shambler things leave down once they die, so just make sure you're not in melee range when they do actually die like that. I'm going to just work my way back and get that Scroll of Wisdom, because that will slow you down a bit. And just keep AoEing down the packs here and get a few levels. This zone is level 13. Yes, it is level 13. So we're going to try and push to like level 12 or 13, hopefully. So the first time I make it into the caverns here, I like to take the waypoint back to town and go get the quest reward, which you get just for entering this particular zone here. Now, for the ranger, I have a choice between fork or added cold. I get added cold if I have a good weapon and am using the damage from my weapon quite a lot. Otherwise, I'm going to grab fork. I've actually forgotten to put my aura on as well, so lots of little mistakes like that in this race, which obviously all those little things can add up to slow you down. So we've got fork there, which we can use once we level up once more, it looks like. So I'm going to do one more reset of the coves and do one more clear through of that. Now just a tip as you're clearing through that, don't be too thorough. Pretty much just do a point A to point B, exit to exit run, and just grab the big packs between then. If you spend too much time poking around in all of the nooks and crannies for straggler mobs, you're just going to waste too much time without getting much experience. Alright, so I've just dinged level 12. Level 13 maybe might have been a little bit better to stick around for, but I'm going pretty well so far. I managed to pick up a 2-linked green item there. I got a pair of gloves, so I was able to link Poison Arrow with fork, so that means it's just going to really increase my AoE for Poison Arrow. Probably going to try and get one additional level probably on this this particular area of the caverns there. Just trying not to get killed by these guys. Again, pretty much the same deal in here as before, just try not to get surrounded. I don't know what that scroll was, but I'll just leave it for now. I have a few portal scrolls, so that's going to be good for the Merveil fight, and I managed to get a cold resist ring as well, an insane one in fact. It's got 12% extra cold resist and some cold damage, which isn't a big deal for me, but the extra cold resist means that I can probably just get by with one cold resist ring. Otherwise, it's a good idea to try and go for two. I'm just going to keep that other health ring for now. The thing I've had pretty bad luck with was getting transmutation orbs. I haven't really found any of those or any alchemies, so I haven't really been able to craft any good gear with any of those, so overall my gear is pretty lackluster. Alright, so I'm in the Cavern of Anger now. Pretty much just pushing straight through here as quickly as possible. Accidentally turned my aura off. I managed to ding one more level. Usually I'll rush straight through here, but I kind of feel like I want another level to get a little bit more life. I'm one point away from one more life node, and that could be very helpful in the fight against Mervale, and also just against these exploding squid. So obviously be very careful against these exploding squid. They can kill you in a hurry, especially if you have any sort of latency or frame rate issues. They can kill you if that sort of thing happens, so just try to run past them and get them to explode on themselves if you can. Otherwise take them down safely if you have to. You might have to move a little bit more carefully through here if you don't happen to have a lot of life nodes or life gear. Alright, so it looks like I've reached Mervale's lair. I didn't quite get that extra level, but I did manage to pick up a life belt and some life armor, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. Now, since I have some portal scrolls, I can be a little bit more spammy with my potions if I need to. So pretty much the same approach applies with Mervale's to Brutus. Just use your AoE to take them down fairly carefully and, you know, as quickly as possible. Now, if you have a decent amount of life and manage to get some cold resist rings, you know, 2 cold resist rings or 1 really good one like I did, then this fight shouldn't be too difficult. The damage is 100% cold damage, so if you can sort of resist most of that, then it's not too much of an issue. You definitely don't want to stand there and get frozen like I am, though. Alright, so once you've killed off Mervale, just grab pretty much the only the essential loot. I wouldn't really worry too much about it because by this point you're not really going to have enough time to benefit much from it anyway. Rare bow and some magic flasks and things like that are obviously pretty good for me. Now, when you get into Act 2, you have 2 options. You can, if you have about 5 minutes less, or maybe less than 10 minutes left in the race, then you can pretty much just farm the forest, so kill the monkeys here to level up as much as possible right before the end of the race and get the really good experience from there. But if you have a little bit more than 10 minutes or around 10-minute mark, then you can very quickly push for the Western Forest and farm in that zone there. Western Forest has a lot of experience to offer, and it is faster than the forest, but if you don't really have enough time to get there, then you can't really make full use of it. I've actually went a little bit over time in this particular race, in this particular practice, which has been good because I've picked up on a lot of mistakes, but so I won't be bothering continuing this any further. But this was a good practice session. I highly recommend you guys have a practice session if you are keen to get into races, or you can just use the first race as your first practice and not worry about it too much. You know, if you happen to keep a level 14 character alive, then you get some points towards the monthly rewards, so that's something. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed this and been able to pick up a few things just about racing, a few tips, and just had the general approach to how you make your way through Act 1 mainly, because that's the main part of a 1-hour race. Anyway, that's it for now. I'm ZiggyD, and thanks for watching.